Good day, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to look at debtors reconciliation, and our focus in this activity is going to be specifically on the age analysis. So if I look at age analysis, this is new to grade 12. Now, just to have an idea what this is all about, if I look at what the word is saying, age tells us exactly what he's saying, how long. And if we look at analysis, we look at a breakdown of the account of each debtor. So we want to see with each debtor specifically, what is their outstanding debt for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 90 days plus. We want to see which of those debtors are adhering to our credit terms and who are not. Because as a business, we need to put certain things in place to make sure that our debtors does comply with our credit terms, and if they don't, we need to follow up on that. So now, if I look at the first activity, the debtors age analysis of Delish Limited on 28 February 2018 is presented. Identify a problem with Heihu and, very important, quote figures. What should the credit controller do about Chabalala's account in March 2018? Give 3 actions. And then explain why a debtor, Heihu, should be handed over to the attorneys. So in this activity, they've basically identified problem areas, problem debtors. So before we look at those questions, I want to look at the debtors age analysis and elaborate a little bit more on that. So if I just look at the terms, they say the terms allowed to the debtors are as followed. If paid within 30 days, a 2% discount will be allowed. If not paid after 60 days, 5% interest will be charged. If not paid after 90 days, the account will be handed to the attorneys for collection. So just a few pointers to remember. If we look at age analysis, the oldest debt is paid first. Returns are always on the most recent purchases. Interest is charged per month on debt outside the credit period. We cannot charge a debtor interest if it's not outstanding after 30 days. If we allow them to pay 30 days, we cannot charge them interest on that balance. So we need to make sure what is outstanding after 30 days. When we're analyzing an age analysis, we always check the credit limit and we check, do they comply with the credit terms? So these are just pointers to remember moving forward. If I now look at the age analysis, I want to focus on how do you calculate percentage outstanding debt. So first of all, I've got current 30, 60, 90 and 90 days plus. So those are all the outstanding balances. So if we add all of them together, the total outstanding debt is 25,000. So if I want to now find out which of our debtors do not comply with our credit terms, and if our credit terms is 30 days, I'm going to look for anything that falls outside of that period. So I'm going to look at the 60, 90 and 90 days plus. So if I add all of that together and I divide it by the total debt, it means that 32.9% of our debtors do not comply with the credit terms. If I look at current plus the 30 days, 67.1% of our debtors do comply with the credit terms. So overall, I think that the business is managing their debt quite well. If you take the two and you add it together, it should always equal to 100%. The total debt, 25,000, is equal to 100%. Right, now, in a nutshell, to summarize these calculations, to calculate the percentage, we take the amount, we divide it by the total debt, and percentage is always out of 100. So this was just to elaborate a little bit more on the age analysis to see how do we actually calculate percentages. Now we're going to look at answering the specific questions that was required. So the first one, identify the problem with debtor Heihu and quote figures. So if I look at the age analysis and we look specifically at his account, you would notice that there is nothing outstanding for 60, 90 days and 90 days plus. This means that that is not an issue. So the next thing that we need to look at is the credit limit. What is his outstanding balance and how does that compare to the credit limit? Now, credit limit means the maximum he's allowed to buy for. So if I take the 4,200 plus the 1,550, it's clear that he is exceeding his credit limit with 250, and that is a problem. We should not allow him to buy on credit again until he settled his account. Looking at question number 2, what should the credit controller do about Chabalala's account in March 2018? So if we look at Chabalala and we look at the terms allowed to debtors, if paid within 30 days, a 2% discount will be allowed. So that's not relevant. Why? Because he's got outstanding debt for 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. So if we look at bullet number 2, if not paid after 60 days, a 5% per annum interest will be charged. So now if I look at 60 days and 90 days, I've got outstanding balances. This means that the first action I'm going to take is I'm going to charge interest on that 1,175 and the 1,350 because that will be outstanding after 60 days. If I look at the last bullet, it says, if not paid after 90 days, the account will be handed over to the attorneys for collection. So that 1,175, if Chabalala does not pay that amount, it means it will be outstanding for more than 90 days, which means that we will need to hand him over to the attorneys for collection. So I would contact Chabalala and say to him, he needs to pay the amount, and if he doesn't pay it, he will be handed over. Right, so now there's another action. We need a third action that we need to take against this debtor, Chabalala. If I look at his outstanding balance and I add all of that together, you would notice that he has an outstanding balance of 5,800. So he can just buy for 200 more on credit. But because he's got debt that is outstanding 30, 60, 90 days, and it will be longer if he doesn't pay anything, it means that we should not allow him any credit sales until he settled his account. Looking at the third question, explain why debtor Heihu should be handed over to the attorneys. if I look at the age analysis, credit limit is 5,000. He's got outstanding debt for 90 days plus, which means that we should be handing him over to the attorneys because he's not paying his account in time. There's total outstanding debt for more than 90 days. So this was a short activity on the age analysis. Thank you very much for taking the time and watching this. In our next activity, we will be focused on completing an age analysis and combining that with the debtors. I hope you have a wonderful day. Just a quote that I want to leave you with. Successful people are not gifted. They just work hard and then succeed on purpose.